Hello, everyone. Welcome to Luminous Human School. I'm Lindsay Davis, and I'm here with Kristi Sandino.
Hello.
We have a really special episode for you today, and Kristi's going to tell us all about her recent experience with Dr. Joe Dispenza at the Advanced Follow-up. So I'm really excited to talk to you today about that.
Thank you. Yeah, I just got back. So when we're recording this, it's Friday, and the advanced follow-up just completed on Monday night in Denver. So I'm still integrating.
Of
As
course.
you can imagine, at these events, Dr. Joe just transmits so much information.
Yeah.
Yeah. So of course, this is what I think he said.
Right, your interpretation, how you received it.
My best to the best of my ability, what I received. It's what I received this weekend.
Yeah.
And what it means to me.
Hmm.
So uh I highly recommend his work, of course. And if you want to, receive these transmissions directly from him, there's so many ways you can do that, books and podcasts, as well as the in-person events. So
Definitely. He's
yeah, but
everywhere. I mean, if you search on YouTube, Dr. Joe Dispenza, you will find so much information. It's incredible.
yeah. And so many incredible testimonials too. So
Oh
if
yeah.
that's something you're interested in. But I think that I can share what was valuable for me, and I hope that that will also be valuable for you and for the people that are, interested in Dr. Joe's work or already doing Dr. Joe's work. I know I'm always very interested in hearing other people's experiences. So,
Yeah, and I think it's, just what you said, like this is your how you received it and how you interpreted it for you in your life right now. And, other people may have been at that same event and experienced something very different,
definitely.
received a different kind of transmission and are applying it to their life in a different way. And so it's like it's so individualized in these things because really we are talking about quantum physics and manifestation and vibrational frequencies. Like they're not necessarily simple topics, although Dr. Joe does seem to break them down in very understandable ways. I think that these things are helpful to hear over and over again and from different sources and how they explain it, in like their interpretation. So yeah, it's nice to be able to see like how it comes through for you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, where to begin? Well, every event has a, a theme or a theme. And the theme of this event was everything in nothing. So I know the first, Friday night you come in and it's on a big screen. And I was looking at that and I was thinking, what does that mean?
Wait, do you get to know what the theme is beforehand, or is it just when you enter like that first day? I'm curious if they're
That's a
like,
good question. I don't
okay,
remember if they shared that beforehand. I don't think so. I think you find out when you get there.
I like that.
Yeah. He does like to keep you guessing because one of the things he was sharing this weekend is when everything in your life is known, there's nothing new coming in. There's no new energy, there's no new frequency coming in.
Hmm.
So if you are thinking the same thoughts every day, driving the same path to work, walking the same path when you take a nature walk,
Hmm.
um, eating the same meals, just, we all have routines, and that's like an efficient way to do life in a lot of ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love a lot of my routines, and but when we get so caught up in them that nothing new happens, then if there are things we're wanting to experience differently, if there's new things we want to manifest in our lives, if there's experiences we want to change, very difficult to do that with no new energy in the mix.
Right. The brain just wants to default to what it knows. And because that's the easiest pathway, it's, fired those neurons a million times. And it's like, well, no, let's just keep doing this. This is easy. This is fine. This is safe. Let's live in this box.
And that is what it is. It's the primal brain. It's the animal body. It's our primal urge to stay safe.
Absolutely. Yeah. That survival mechanism.
And it's strong, right?
And it serves a purpose, of course.
That's why the human species is here thousands and thousands of years later, through evolution, we've stayed alive.
We appreciate that part of our brain very much.
Right. But when it comes to manifesting new things, we probably have to get a little bit uncomfortable and bring in a little bit of the new in order to step out of that primal brain and get into the frequencies like I want to share with you today, like we're going to talk about.
Yeah, such a fun part. Frequency.
So everything in nothing. Nothing in this theme is being defined as the field of pure consciousness. So the vibrational field, pure frequency, the unmanifest. So it's, not technically nothing, because what we would think of as like empty air or empty space, nothing's empty. Nothing is nothing.
Can't just be nothing. Nothing is still nothing.
It's frequency, like quote unquote, nothing is frequency. It's that source point of pure consciousness. And for something to activate that source point of pure consciousness into something, that frequency has to be activated. And what activates it in Dr. Joe's work is a thought. So the thought activates the frequency. So this is why we want to be having really high vibrational thoughts.
As often as possible, yeah.
Yeah, and which totally corresponds to our whole energy field, of course,
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
So the everything is everything that exists in this field. So it's our thoughts, it's our bodies, it's the table, the plants, animals, it's everything. And that's everything that is manifest. And thoughts have energy that they have, so they are something that's been manifested, so to speak.
Yeah.
They exist in this field of frequency.
Right.
So the first full day of the event, Dr. Joe sat down on stage and just went into the most elegant talk on frequency, quantum physics, and string theory. He's like, I think we'll throw in a little string theory.
Yeah. And when we talked about this before, I was like, I've heard of that term before, but I've never dove in to string theory. So.
Yeah, what I said to Lindsay is, yes, I've heard those two words next to each other before, string and theory, but that was about the extent.
Same. You're like, okay, yeah, go ahead, Dr. Joe, tell me about that.
Yeah, so of course everybody was like, yeah. cheering.
Of course, that's what they came here for.
So where we are here in matter is the slowest frequency because the frequency has slowed down enough to become physical matter. As you go up in frequency, you the frequency increases. And the way he drew it was in like what he considered packets of energy. So it's like larger packets of frequency are vibrating at a slower rate. And as you go up, these packets of energy get smaller and the frequency gets faster. And within these packets of frequency are these fractal patterns, which are those beautiful, they look like snowflakes. And you see like fractal patterns in a lot of different places in nature. And when you go down to, look through a microscope at smaller levels of things, you can see these when there's a high degree of order, you see these fractal patterns.
Okay.
So if you ever saw Dr. Emoto's work in water, and when he was showing the patterns when people spoke of love, peace, harmony, those really beautiful like kaleidoscope patterns,
Yes,
are these fractal patterns. And a fractal pattern means that basically you can break it apart or cut it at any point and the pattern remains whole anywhere you cut
okay.
it.
I
So
didn't
it's
know that.
always, yeah, it's so cool.
Oh, that's so neat. I love that.
So as the frequency increases, these fractal patterns get more and more complex, moving all the way up, like through the speed of light, all the way up higher than the speed of light to that source point, pure consciousness. And so as we meditate, we're raising our frequency to go up into higher levels of order and coherence, because that's where we manifest from. So if you see the small, highly dense, beautiful patterns, as they slow down, they're becoming matter. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. Yeah. So it's like the slower vibration is more of the physical form. It speeds up. It becomes more energy as we get towards source.
Yeah. So we're wanting to create matter, which is basically our manifestation of our lives,
Yeah.
from as the most coherent, the most harmonious patterns of frequency that we can. So the more disorder is happening within us, the more that's the frequency we're manifesting from. And so the more disorder may appear like in our bodies as well as our external environment.
Right. So if that disorder starts at, that if there's disorder within the higher frequencies, that's going to trickle down into matter, into our bodies, into our lives, and perhaps show up as like a disease or, something like that, where it's like, oh, a tumor, a cancer, could be lots of different things.
Could be lots of different things. Yeah.
But then if you have a higher level of order, and I'm like, just let me know if I'm expressing or understand this correctly, having that higher level of order in, those higher frequencies, that trickles down still to create matter, but in a more harmonious, coherent way where our body is healthy, our lives are, things are manifesting in the ways that we want them to, that we enjoy, that we're finding love and gratitude and further enjoyment in our life.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Well, I think the higher level of frequencies do contain more order. So we're wanting to raise our vibration to connect in from that place. I think that that the disorder comes from frequencies they're not of that high vibrational, beautiful fractal pattern type frequency. So
Yeah.
it's just a disorganized frequency, which are in the field as well. But
Yeah, and
we can be creating a disorganized frequency
right.
through the way we're interacting with the world, i.e., stress, overthinking,
Yeah.
those
Drama.
types drama.
Right,
Yes.
because I was thinking like, oh, okay, so we are our our thoughts. You mentioned like thoughts. There's still it's an energy, right? So it's like our thoughts, the way what are we putting out into the world? How are we reacting to the world? That's sending out a signal as well, and then that's sort of like being received and coming back to form
Yeah.
matter and
Yes.
manifestation.
So when we do breath work and meditation, we are raising our frequency and creating a state of order and harmony.
Hmm.
So that happens within us, within our thoughts, within thoughts like gratitude and love. These are very high vibrational frequencies.
Yes.
And when we have a regular practice, this is why we talk about having some kind of daily practice, because that's where you do want to be in the known. Like, I know I'm going to do my practice every day.
Yeah, yeah. That's a
Because,
great pattern to create.
yes, because that pattern is anchoring you in a frequency of harmony and high resonance every day. So
Yes.
you're anchoring into high vibrational thoughts, feeling tones, and like we said, just spending time feeling love, feeling gratitude can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sending the signal out
Yes.
so that more order can manifest, more harmony, more beauty can then manifest within you and outside of you.
Yes. Yeah. Right. So it's like if you start your day and immediately are just like slamming down an alarm clock and you're like, oh, all right, another day. Like, oh, let's get this over with. Like, and you're spending your whole day stressed out. It's like those are kind of setting the tone for the reflection back to you, in whatever capacity that shows up in matter.
Right.
That's
So if you're doing that and you are wishing for a new job or to make more money, those two things are working completely against each other.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
as soon as you get up and you're like, ugh, another day, ugh, I hate my job, oh, then how do you create a higher vibrational job, something that you would love, more money, co-workers that you get along with and love to spend time with? How can you create that from that energy? It's really difficult.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say impossible,
Right. But it's going to
but
be.
you're definitely pushing against some pretty intense forces to create positive change in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you give yourself that extra time in the morning to anchor in love, gratitude, really see yourself living a life you love,
Mm-hmm.
then you carry that frequency with you the rest of the day. You
Yeah.
notice, when am I slipping out of this frequency? When am I in it?
Yes.
And when you notice you've slipped out, you have something to bring yourself back. So,
Yeah.
I know we're all moving very fast-paced lives.
For
So
sure.
it might just be a few breaths. There might be something that always makes you feel love. So it could be like a pet or a child, a grandchild, a niece or nephew, a place in nature that you can just visualize and take some breaths with,
Hmm.
something in your life that you are super grateful for. So, there might be, just one thing that you feel like, but in this place, this is something I'm so grateful for. And
Hmm.
you can just use that to anchor. So, little things throughout the day, but basically, you're using your morning practice to start the day elevating the frequency, but you don't come out of the meditation and go, "Phew, that's done. Okay,
Yeah.
now on to,
Yeah.
hating my job and remembering, I was like, oh, that's right. Yeah, I do have a really bad headache today." And,
Yeah. Yeah. What are my problems again? Okay, let me make sure I like pick all those back up.
exactly.
Like,
So you're starting your day off anchoring this for yourself and then always coming back to it. You're changing who you are. You're
right.
rewiring every cell of your being. Your thoughts program your cells, your emotions program your cells.
Yeah. And doing that practice first thing gives you the opportunity throughout the day, just like you were saying, to notice when you're not in that space anymore. Notice when you're being reactive or negative, and giving you the opportunity to go, wait a minute, is that where I want to be? Is that the vibration and the frequency I'm trying to live in? So it gives you the opportunity to start to change maybe some of those patterns and habits so that you do become a new person. You do react differently, you do act differently, you think differently, you go about your day differently. And great way is that morning practice to put you in that mindset of where you want to be, how you want to live, who you want to be. Like,
Yes. Yes. So, what did I want to say about that? So, one of the things that Dr. Joe talked about that I really like, this was one, there's always like a couple things that just stand out.
Mhm.
And this was one of the things that I was like, wait, what? And I mentioned briefly before that as you go up the scale of frequency, there, you pass through the speed of light. And at the level of the speed of light is where your light body exists. And your light body is an exact replica of your body in frequency.
That's so
Like,
cool.
I somehow never completely got this before. I don't know if he's ever said this before, but this blew my mind because all of a sudden being able to picture an exact replica of my body as it is right now in that level of frequency made things that in the past that I've wanted to change, that I had felt very immovable, like, okay, I'll keep doing the meditations, but I just don't know how I'm going to shift this.
Mm.
When I saw that image in my mind's eye, I thought, ah, ah. So if I can shift the frequency at the level of my light body, then as those frequencies slow down into matter, it has to shift in matter.
So cool. I love this.
I do too. So
Like, change the blueprint.
it's changing the blueprint. And somehow, yeah, it just made such a huge difference for me to see it that way. It felt much more mutable to be able to work with frequency higher up outside of me and know that that's going to come down than somehow feeling like something would shift just in my body.
Yeah, like just straight up matter changing.
Yeah. So that's, one of the things he talked about is that when you're trying to shift things matter to matter, you're just working with the same frequency that you already have here available to you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you imagine where you are and look around in your space and your current state of emotions and your current thoughts, this is all happening at a particular let's say combination of frequencies, because nothing is just one frequency.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a good way to say
There's
it.
a certain combination of
We're kind of
frequencies.
always shifting around through different frequencies.
Right. But this is generally, the frequency package that's at play,
I
we'll
like
say.
that. Yeah. Your frequency package right here.
Right.
It's creating this timeline reality for you.
Right. And so when you're trying to just shift things at the level of matter as opposed to frequency, you're pushing things, you're just moving things around at the same level. So it's like going to be so difficult to really significantly shift something.
Right. And it's possible
Yeah.
to change matter to matter. We do know that. We see people do it
We
all the time.
we do it all the time. I do it. I default to that all the time,
Me
thinking
too.
if I want to accomplish this goal, I have to take this certain amount of steps,
Yeah.
these, in the physical 3D world. And at like, if I were to say I want to go back to school and get my master's degree, then I have to, research the schools that have the degree I'm interested in. I have to apply, see if the bachelor's degree that I have translates to that master's degree. Do I need more credits so that's like matter to matter. When you're doing it in frequency and you have the thought, oh, I'd really love a master's degree in this particular field, and you're staying with the work, you could meet someone who all of a sudden says, oh, I teach in that program at this school. That's actually the top school. Oh, do you need help filling out your application? I could get you into that program. I would love to have you in my classes. And time collapses, everything accelerates, and
Yeah.
you're in a program that you might have thought would take you 6 months to a year to figure out and apply for and get into and start classes. And
Right.
so that's just off the top of my head, a random
One little
example.
example here we're going to play with.
Yeah, just to give you an idea. But yeah, when I saw the image of the light body in my mind's eye, it just felt like the whole world opened up to me. I felt like,
Yeah.
oh, I can shift frequency.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is shifting also like the timeline. Like we can shift timelines. And it's because that frequency lives on this timeline over here or a different timeline over here. And I mean, when you
Right.
explained this to me the first time, like it definitely anchored in a lot more understanding for me from various teachers who teach a similar concept, which, lots of teachers do. But I was like, it made more sense to me in seeing it and feeling even uh, more of the possibility to change in a more effortless kind of way. I was like, wait, okay, I see why people are having these quote unquote miracles happen in their lives because they change their frequency.
Yes. And everything has to change when you change the frequency. So you can just work on one thing. You can work on raising your frequency around calling in a physical healing and have your focus be on that. And when you really shift that and shift your frequency and the amount of order and coherence that's happening within your body, because this is what's really happening when we're shifting into a higher frequency, we're creating more order and coherence. And that's expressing all the way down, through our cells, our atoms, every energetic part of our body
Mm-hmm.
out into the physical. And out beyond the physical into our environment. Everything we see is a projection. Everything we experience, see, feel is a projection of our vibrational frequency.
Yeah, I love thinking about that as well. This aspect of, what we are experiencing in this matter form, in this physical form, is, I think you said Dr. Joe calls it a hologram. It's a reflection. It's just like a transmission of the frequency that appears physical to us. And it's like, I just love thinking of it that way. I think it's like, oh,
Yeah,
right.
that's
So I could wake up tomorrow and have something, an ailment or something, have completely disappeared. It is possible.
people do in his work. They go
Yeah.
to the 7 day, the week-long event that is the introductory event he does, and have things that were considered terminal heal.
It's incredible.
It's really incredible. And people have that experience doing the work at home. You don't just have to go to an event. People who
Oh,
are doing the work at home have that experience too. But that's kind of a contained timeline where it's really obvious, where someone says, when I got here, I was diagnosed with this. When I left, I went to the doctor and it wasn't there anymore.
mm, it's truly amazing. And that's the thing that's so cool too, is that like there are testimonies everywhere. Or testimonials, yeah, testimonials
Yeah.
all over the place. I mean, just like you mentioned at the beginning, like going on YouTube, finding those testimonials, like people are talking about these miraculous type like healings that many people would say that's impossible. And people are doing
Yes.
the impossible, which really makes it not impossible anymore.
Yes.
So it's like anything truly is possible. And it's like, okay, let's start by believing that anything is possible, number one, and then seeing what, you could really create through this work and through shifting your frequency. And I mean, I'm just, inspired even more to do this work, and after having this conversation, to really see, oh, all right, let's see, let's play.
Exactly. One of the things I took notes while I was there, and one of the things I wrote down that I love that he said is, you are immaterial information organizing itself into material form.
Mm,
So the immaterial information is that frequency, the vibration,
mhm,
organizing itself into material form. So have
mm,
more attention on it, the immaterial information, and less attention on you, which is already the form of the prior vibration, whatever you have been vibrating at prior to when you
mhm,
started, you know, bathing yourself in love and gratitude.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah.
He didn't say that. I said that.
Yeah. And it really does start with this like recognition in our daily lives of like, what are we thinking about and how are we feeling? Right. So this is a lot of, I don't know, these concepts are sometimes hard to grasp, especially if somebody's new to this work. It's like, okay, take some time and hear this over and over and over again, and really anchor these thoughts in. And I am no expert by any means. It's, still plenty to learn, but practically speaking, an incredible first step is just like recognizing your thoughts and how you feel throughout the day. And that's where you can really start to make some shifts in the sort of um, frequency you're sending out to then receive back.
Yes. That you're creating with your thoughts.
Creating it. Yes.
You're creating with what you feel,
Yes.
because thoughts and feelings are vibration, they're frequency. So that is sending out that creator signal,
Mm-hmm.
out into frequency, which comes back as matter.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously our emotions and our thoughts are vibrating at a much higher frequency than our bodies, because we can't see them. We
Yeah.
know they're there, we experience them.
And I think it's, we do talk about this a lot in when we're talking about manifestation and the way you feel and think, is that when we do say that, we're not saying only ever feel good to get what you want. And so
No.
I think it's important that we always reiterate that it's like so important to still feel the emotions that are moving through you and give them space. They're also just energy, and there's a line between letting yourself feel it and letting the energy move through you, and then getting wrapped up in creating a story around it, which is no longer helpful. But when
Yeah.
you can be with the energy, then you can befriend it and work with it, and then decide, oh, is this what I want to feel? And okay, oh, maybe I still need to feel that a little bit more. That's still really active in me. Okay, let me let that be there. Or, okay, has that run its course and I can now shift?
Yes.
So it does take awareness, and that's a practice in and of itself. But yeah, I just like always like to reiterate how important it is to still feel like
Yes.
the things that are happening. If you're upset about something, you're angry or frustrated, you can still feel those things, and you should.
Yes. And our emotions are information. It's
Yeah.
feedback from our environment. So if we're having an interaction with one person and we're noticing that that always is bringing up a particular emotion in us, that's a flag to say, the body, it's your system letting you know something here is not working. Like there's a shift that needs to take place, or there's a conversation that needs to be had, or it's information to take in, to contemplate,
Mhm. Yeah.
so that you can create something different.
Yeah. Yeah.
When it's things like grief, you have to go through that process. So there's all kinds of different ways that these
Yeah. Yeah.
things move through us, but yeah, nothing to ever resist.
Exactly. Yeah. Or push away or be like, oh, I'm not supposed to feel that way. I'm supposed to feel good all the time. No. That's not
Right.
helpful. That's not helpful to push those things away. And we're human, so
Yeah.
we're gonna feel the whole spectrum of emotions at different points in time. So, but then it's also okay, well, what sort of habitual patterns are you creating for you to feel certain emotions? So if you practice feeling love and gratitude more often, well, it's going to be easier to reach for those emotions on a normal, regular basis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the notes I'm looking at here says, change the pattern in the energy and you change the blueprint and you ultimately change the expression into matter.
I love that so much. I really do.
Me too. Change the pattern in the energy, you change the blueprint, and you ultimately change the expression into matter. So one of the other things he did talk about this weekend is that one of the important kind of tricky spaces that can come up is when we do the work, we feel like we have shifted our vibration, and yet we haven't noticed a change in matter yet. There can be like a lag between shifting the vibration and then it expressing back into matter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important in that lag space that we don't give up
Yeah.
and shift back into our old pattern and say, well, I did it. It didn't work. I,
Yeah.
I felt good for 3 months and everything was still the same. Let me be honest. In the past, I've given up after like 2 weeks. I've been like, I've been high vibe for 2 weeks.
Come on. Wasn't that long enough? When I've had a certain vibrational package, frequency package, as you say, for many years. And I'm like, but 2 weeks, come on.
Right. Nothing's changing.
Which still totally possible to shift it in that way too, but
And
you know,
like we said, there's no rules to this. So
no.
you can shift it in an instant. It can shift instantaneously. But because we're working with a lot of ingrained belief systems and ways of being, sometimes it takes longer.
Yeah.
There are people who in Dr. Joe's work have disappeared their tumors in days. There are people that have meditated every day and it took 8 years.
Right.
They still did it. So
Right.
who cares? They did it.
Mm-hmm.
Just that's what the path was for them.
Yeah.
So whatever that lag is, the point is not to lose faith and not to give up on creating this high vibrational frequency in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You need to really trust that this is creating a high degree of resonance and harmony in your field. And what Dr. Joe repeated again this weekend, and what he says many times, is for people who are healing these big things, usually by the time they've healed it, it's not even about that anymore. They've created so much love and so much joy, and their life has changed to be unrecognizable from who they were before and what it was like before, that when he asks them to talk about healing, like say the tumor, like as an example, they'll often first say, my life is so filled with love. I'm so joyful. My relationships are so beautiful. And he's like, but the tumor, oh yeah, that's gone. But my life is, so it's,
Yes.
yeah, so it's about really shifting in, like you said, it's a new timeline. You're creating a new body, you're creating a new life.
Yeah. 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 And yeah, it's so incredible too. It's like just what you're saying. It's like, yeah, oh yeah, the tumor. Okay, yeah, that did go away. And it's, other things are being organized in beautiful ways. So yeah, it doesn't have to be just about that one thing. But notice other things, because we can get so hyper focused on, like, I'm really trying to heal this one thing. It's like, look around you and see what else is going so well. Or I mean, even today, I was telling Kristi earlier, I've just felt a little bit better the past few days. Just felt good. And all of my interactions today when I was out and about were so pleasant. And I was like, you know what? I really appreciate that. It's really nice to just have a pleasant interaction with a human being. And
Yes.
I was like, that was nice. That was nice.
Yes.
So it's like appreciating stuff like that too. Or, I mean, I was waiting in line, at the grocery store, and I had to be back at my house, within, 30 minutes. So I was like, oh, okay. I wasn't really worried about the time too much. But then all of a sudden, another woman came out, was like, hey, I can take you over here. And it was like, boom, got checked out right away. And I was like, well, that was very convenient. Thank you. So, notice those things and appreciate those things, because that creates more momentum for, that vibration
That
frequency.
that reminds me of something that happened at the end of the event. I went with a friend of mine, and so we left at the end of the day and went straight to the airport. And I have TSA pre, so I can go through
Mm,
the shorter line
fancy.
and not take my shoes off, which I love.
Oh, nice.
My friend doesn't have that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go through the TSA pre line. I'll see you on the other side. And that line was actually really long. And I got to the other side and she walked out at the exact same time. And I said, what? How did that happen? And she said, I got in line and something happened. And somebody who worked there was like, I think she was like, is this where I'm supposed to be? Am I in the right place? And an employee just came and pulled her out and put her through the front of the line and passed her through like the entire line after
That's phenomenal.
for no reason.
And we
Except
don't
for
need to
that
know.
she'd spent the entire 4 days raising her vibration and going into a very, high state of love and gratitude and appreciation. And, it's like, quote unquote, just a little thing, but it's also like an amazing, awesome thing when
Yeah.
have something
Yeah.
like that happen.
Exactly. So it's like it's those things where it's like, okay, that was awesome. I so appreciate that. It made it so like the ease and flow of life, just, going your way essentially, the way you want it to. It's like, recognize that and have that appreciation because that's so cool.
Yeah. And then even when it doesn't, because we never want to give the impression that by doing this work, you create this fantasy life where nothing ever goes wrong.
Right. Nothing is ever challenging ever again.
Front of every line, no traffic.
Sometimes, sure, yeah.
Sometimes, sure. But when that stuff does happen, what I tend to notice is that when I'm in a really good state, in a high vibrational frequency, I can wave that stuff off so much more easily. I can, if someone's, really acting crazy in traffic and cuts me off, some days I might have a very strong negative reaction. There's other days where I'm just like, let them go in front of me. And it's like
Right.
nothing. Like it just
Yeah.
doesn't faze me at all. So it's about how we are interacting with our environment.
Yeah.
We're not controlling the whole world,
No.
but but there are things that when we step into resonance do fall into place much more easily.
Hmm.
And then when they don't, there are ways we can interact with people and our environment in ways that are much more easeful.
Right. Right. We don't have to be as reactive. We can start to shift that pattern as well
Yeah.
because that creates its own momentum, right? Ever had a day where just
Yeah.
like, lots of road rage and then like you get home and you just keep staying in that energy? Like, yeah, okay.
Right. Right. And so, and then also, that doesn't mean you'll never go into a highly activated state, but how much more quickly are you able to bounce out of it when
Hmm.
you're really anchored in a high frequency?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
lots of different ways to look at it.
Yeah. Right.
But, we don't want to, we just never want to give this like spiritual bypass, everything is fairy dust kind of impression of the work and life. It's we want to be really real, with you.
We're human beings,
Yeah, we're
having this
all human
experience.
beings.
We all came here to be human beings and have this like wild ride experience. It's
Yeah.
so funny. I'm just going to share this because I was thinking about this today. It's like sometimes I think about before our soul incarnates into whatever, we're all up there just like in the spiritual plane, and I envisioned that like all the souls are like, yeah, I get to go to earth and be a human, like what a cool experience. You get to like have feel all these different things and have these different experiences, and then you get here and you're like, whoa. Okay, and then you're like, wow, these things are really challenging, and then like, wow, I can feel this good and I feel this much love, holy crap. It's just like, I don't know. I just had this thought today when I was driving, just the whole array of the human experience that is just, it's a wild one, and our souls chose it.
Yes. Yeah, and there's tools to work with our experience.
Absolutely.
If you
Yeah.
found us, then you're probably on the path, like or very ready to implement some tools into your experience that
Yeah.
can just bring more ease and
Hmm.
more joy, like that. It is everything we're saying, even though, of course I said we don't control the world and things are going to happen. There is also so much space for life to be so much more beautiful
Yeah.
and hold so much more joy and wonder than what I'll say a lot of people are experiencing on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, because really, when we're talking about this aspect of working with the frequency and that manifesting into this matter into our lives, really, we're saying, like, although we can't control every single thing that happens out there in the world, like, we truly are creators of our lives. And so, if we can begin to acknowledge that and utilize that and start working with those tools, then we can co-create with spirit in our life and
Yeah.
play a little bit more with that.
Yeah.
And that's fun. I think it's pretty
Yes,
fun.
it is.
Yeah, I'm still gonna have plenty of lessons along the way, and but one of our my favorite mantras, really, and we mentioned it, I don't know, on our Instagram a while back, was something about just asking for guidance and just allow lessons and guidance, but allowing them to be gentle and enjoyable, like making that the intention as
Mhm.
often as possible.
Yeah. I want to just scan my notes really quickly
Yeah.
and see if there's anything else that would.
Yeah, because I feel like we could talk for hours on this topic, you know.
I said this in another way, but he said if we're living a predictable life, there's no new information coming through.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And so, to create something new, we need new information.
mm-hmm,
Also, he said information and like the frequency of the information in the energy centers of the body determines the health of those centers and your body.
mm-hmm,
So, Dr. Joe does a lot of blessing of the energy center meditations,
mm-hmm.
and those bring a very harmonic, high resonance frequency into those centers. So,
Uh,
just it's just another way to look at the way health is expressing through your body
yeah.
starts in this energetic frequency level first. So you can start, if it doesn't help you to think of the light body like way out there,
Mm,
you could think of the frequency in the energy centers of your body.
yeah, I like that. Yeah, and truly everything is energy first. Everything is a frequency first.
Yeah. So a more coherent message changes how the energy center is operating, and it will send more coherent messages everywhere in your body.
Hmm, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I love it. So I'm just scanning, scanning, scanning.
So many notes, so much
So many
stuff.
notes. And
Right. I
I
mean,
don't need to say like you're not missing stuff. We've already covered a lot.
oh
So
yeah, for sure. I mean,
um
and truly, I mean, a whole weekend with
I know I
Dr.
could never.
Joe. I mean, it's so much. And I imagine that, the full days are like legitimate full days, full on. You are just receiving lots of information.
Yeah, and I in the beginning I mentioned it as a transmission, and that was really just my interpretation because of course he's up there, he's speaking and drawing on a big whiteboard, and it's comes across like an intellectual lecture,
Hmm.
but I really felt the way I was understanding what he was sharing, that there must have also been some sort of energetic transmission that was happening in his teaching.
I believe
And
that.
maybe it's just because in him, the information is so embodied and so known that being there in the room with him allows you to just get it on different levels.
Yeah. And I mean, he has been doing this for so long and he's such a great teacher. I mean, for someone to
Yeah.
explain quantum physics and string theory to lay people and have them understand it, it's like, okay, you're pretty good at this.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and I, when we were talking before, I said, like, so Kristi and I are so like very connected, and a lot of times what things that are happening in her life we'll meet in the week and we're like, oh, I was thinking about that too, or I had something similar. So I just feel like we're often resonating on a similar frequency. So, when she was telling me a little bit about her, all of this stuff, I was thinking, I think I received some of this transmission because over the weekend and the beginning of the week, I was having, similar thoughts and shifts in my awareness and things that I was doing. And so it was really cool to hear about this and be like, oh, I was thinking about that too. Maybe not in the same exact way, but I was really resonating with what you were expressing and how I had certain actions I had been taking in my life and what I was thinking about. So that was super cool.
I think the perfect thing to close with is one of the things that Dr. Joe said at the very end of the weekend, which is wake up and do your work and prove to yourself how powerful you really are.
Yes. I love that.
That's what it comes down to. We can watch all the YouTube videos and read the books and watch spiritual movies and things, but until we're doing daily practice, that is where things shift.
Mhm.
And yes, let's prove it to ourselves. Let's prove to ourselves how powerful we really are.
Absolutely.
What could be more beautiful?
Yeah, if you can do a practice that helps you to feel more love and gratitude and just feel good, then why not? Why not? I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I want to start my day with. Having
Yeah.
love and gratitude for breakfast.
I love it. That's so good. Yes. Love and gratitude for breakfast and snacking on it all day long.
All day long. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it sounds like you really got a lot out of this weekend, and I always love hearing about your experience with these and, what you receive. And thank you for sharing all of this because
Yeah, you're
not
welcome.
they're
And
not
I
easy
hope,
topics to talk about. So,
yeah, I hope that for those of you listening, that this is really useful and that maybe some ideas sparked in you that makes shifting your life, your body, manifesting new things feel even more possible.
yeah, yeah, we are truly so powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you all for tuning in with us and being here with us as always. And we truly love you so much.
We love you so much.